Chairman for the session, dignitaries in the hall, ladies and gentlemen. It is a privilege for me to be present here amidst such a distinguished gathering. India would like to particularly compliment the government of Brazil for having taken this initiative to gather multiple stakeholders to review the progress made to eliminate the worst forms of child labor since the last conference in Hague 2010 and to agree upon the measures needed to strengthen our actions in these endeavors. I stand here before you to update the efforts made in India in this regard. As per the latest census in 2011, persons of age 14 years or less account for 31% of India's population, which is about 372 million children. That in itself may be larger than the total population of a number of countries represented here today. To affirm the government's commitment to the rights-based approach in addressing the continuing and emerging challenges in the situation of children, the Government of India has notified the National Policy for Children very recently. In this policy, the government committed to take affirmative action, legislative, policy, or otherwise, to promote and safeguard the rights of all children to live and grow with equity, dignity, security, and freedom. The legislative action plan comprises of enactment and enforcement of the Child Labor Prohibition and Regulation Act, Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, Prohibition of Child Marriage Act, and the Bonded Labor System Abolition Act. The Juvenile Justice Care and Protection of Children Act 2000 also adopts a child-friendly approach to adjudication and disposition of matters in the best interests of the children. The Government of India has introduced a bill in the Parliament in 2012 to amend the Child Labor Regulation Act. The bill seeks to prohibit employment of children up to the age of 14 in all occupations and processes, whereas earlier the prohibition was only in specified occupations and processes. The bill further seeks to prohibit employment of adolescents, persons in the age group of 14 to 18 years, in hazardous occupations and processes. These amendments will bring the national laws in conformity with the ILO Conventions 138 and 182 and would remove a major impediment in India's ratification of these important conventions. The second pillar of India's strategy against child labor has been social security and general economic development focused on families of the working children. A slew of initiatives have been taken in the last couple of years to make many of these benefits as legal entitlements. India is confident that they will go a long way in combating the underlying reasons for children being pushed into working. The reference has already been made to the National Rural Employment Guarantee Act, the National Health Insurance Scheme, as well as other objectives. I would like to update here with two major initiatives, one which is in the field of education, and the second is in the field of nutrition. India enacted the Right to Education Act in 2009. The title of the act incorporates the words free and compulsory. Free education means no child shall be liable to pay any kind of fees or charges. Compulsory education casts an obligation on the appropriate government and local authorities to provide and ensure admission, attendance, and completion of elementary education. The National Food Security Act of 2013 marks a continuation of the paradigm shift in addressing the social security of the poor and the vulnerable in India, from a welfare approach to a rights-based approach. Then, India also hosted the second SAARC Regional Conference on Child Labor in 2013 to share experiences and to draw lessons from the fellow member countries. A commitment statement was also issued by the workshop participants. The strategy of dovetailing legislation and enforcement, child-specific interventions, and convergence of various social sector initiatives seems to be yielding success. The number of child labor in India has dropped from about 12.5 million in 2001 to 4.94 million. Government of India shares the commitment of other member countries present in the conference to eliminate child labor with special focus on children working in the worst occupations. India will focus on strengthening the inspection machinery for bringing violators to task, as well as focus on improving the delivery of social security. Creating public awareness and advocating the rights of the child to a work-free childhood through our social partners will be an area of focus. Ensuring that child rights are met for every child is a daunting challenge, but also a testimony to the government's commitment to the cause of the children. Meanwhile, we would like to suggest that this forum should formally request the United Nations to declare 2015 as the year of mobilization against child labor. This would concentrate the attention of the world on this important task. Thank you.
Obrigado.